Yo, what is going on, guys? Randall Thor 19 back again with the Xbox 2 podcast. And look who I found. Oh my god. Jez is back. I missed you, man. What's going on?
The whiskey.
Whiskey?
Yeah, whiskey's going on, man. It's
Whiskey?
Wednesday. Whiskey Wednesday. That's a thing I just made up.
So what happened last week? A lot of people were like, "Where's Jez? What's going on?" You were just like neck deep in some Diablo, huh?
I don't have an excuse other than I was so busy last week that I just lost track of time and didn't even know what was going on, and I completely missed it. And my notifications were muted on my PC, so I didn't see you telling me to come to podcast. That's the only reason. I just fucked up, basically.
You fucked up. Ugh. I always hate when that happens.
Yeah, no excuse.
People were upset that you weren't there, dude. They missed you, man. They wanted to hear what Jess had to say.
Serious hate, but I'm back now, and I now have my notifications for Twitter switched on. So
yeah, I mean, it's because you're using Twitter on UWP, and we all know UWP stands for PP because it's not very good or shit, I guess, right?
Oh yeah, the Twitter app for UWP is garbage, to put it bluntly.
Yeah. So since you missed last week, is there anything you want to talk about from last week? Probably not. You probably don't remember what topics.
Honestly, I can't.
You can't remember, can you?
I can't remember what happened last week. I just can't remember what happened last week.
That's a good question. That's a good question. I'm blanking on it right now myself too. But what have you been playing recently? I know you've been playing Hololens, and we're going to talk about that later. But have you been busy playing any video games?
I've been playing lots of video games. I've been playing because the Ultimate Game Sale's been on. And I purchased This War of Mine, which is incredible, actually, side-scrolling survival game. I don't know if you've played it. Have you played it?
No, I mean, I know of the game. That's like one of the few games I don't own.
It is the most depressing game I've ever played. It's even more depressing than this Life is Strange. Life is Strange, sorry. It's so depressing. You play as a bunch of survivors trying to survive in the midst of a civil war. If you steal from other NPCs or kill them because you're desperate for food, your characters get depressed. And if they get too depressed, they kill themselves. It is so depressing. It's really shocking, but it's sort of poignant as well. So if you like being depressed, buy This War of Mine. Other than that, I've also been playing Blizzard's Diablo 3 expansion for the Necromancer. The Necromancer is really fun, a little bit OP, but I suppose that's what makes it so fun. Just got him to 70. He's pretty badass, summoning the undead all over the place and that sort of thing. And I've also been playing a lot of XCOM because I'm trying desperately to finish XCOM before the expansion comes out. And I've had XCOM now for almost a year, and I just keep starting over because the game's so hard, and I just convince myself that I can't win, and the only way to win is to start over and play better. It's really annoying. So, yeah, that's mainly what I've been playing, really. Quite a lot of strategy and survival sort of games.
I played the first XCOM on 360, and I enjoyed that game, although it was incredibly difficult. I actually tried playing on the hardest difficulty, and I think like 2 missions in, I lost everybody. I'm like, nah, I'm done. But no, XCOM's really cool. Although I'm not really a fan of those type of games. I did try it out just to try it out. So is that it? Is that all you've been up to?
Other than that, I've been writing. Not writing that much about Xbox lately because it's the summer and there's not really that much newsworthy, I guess. I wrote about Kingdom Come Deliverance yesterday, which should be going up tomorrow. Kingdom Come Deliverance is a medieval RPG that has no dungeons or dragons. It's just it's historically accurate. It's set in 15th century Bohemia, and it's all about political intrigue and cutting people's heads off and that sort of thing. That's coming out in February 2018 for Xbox One and PC, so that should be interesting. Look out for that. Other than that, I've been writing about HoloLens, which we're going to talk about later, and leaking a couple of old Windows Phone games that got cancelled, which nobody except for our crazy Windows Phone fan readers will care about.
The one is pretty interesting, but yeah, I look forward to seeing the reaction to that game when you reveal it. So for me, I've been back on the Ranzini Spotlight stuff. I've put out videos for the Golf Club 2 and the Ghost of a Tale. Have you gotten the chance to try out Ghost of a Tale yet?
No, I haven't. I've seen some screenshots of it. It looks really, really interesting. It's kind of like Fable-ish, but realistic art.
So it's like it's a stealth action RPG. But it's like you're a mouse and you're like all the like kind of bad guys are like rats. It's all this world of like animals and stuff, but it's actually a really cool stealth game. Like, and we're talking true stealth because you can attack, so you kind of got to like plan out your movements because the guards patrol in certain ways, and it actually looks surprisingly good for the like for what you would expect. I was like, wow, this is really cool. Now, game preview game, they have issues. Like, I think it crashed on me 5 times. I've had to like restart a new game because I couldn't pick up a key and things like that. But it does have a 1-hour trial, so those things, it's worth checking out. I was kind of surprised by that, and I think the game on PlayStation I'm playing is Uncharted 3. Now, I said I would have a review up yesterday, but I didn't get to play it that much, and I really haven't played it enough today to put up the review today. So I will have the Uncharted collection review up tomorrow. Hopefully, I'm on chapter 15 of Uncharted 3, which I think there's 22. So hopefully I can finish it tonight and put out a review of Uncharted 3. Now, initial impressions are it's not as good as Uncharted 2, but it's better than Uncharted 1. But then again, what isn't better than Uncharted 1? Because Uncharted 1 wasn't very good. But dude, Uncharted 2 was fantastic, Jez. Like, really, really, it still holds up.
I'll never be able to play it, but it does look good. It looks pretty good. I remember seeing the marketing for it back in the day, but I was addicted to World of Warcraft then, so it was never going to get played.
So I'm going to finish up Uncharted 3, and then I'm going to play Uncharted 4, and obviously after that, what I'm going to do, because I'm kind of indecisive about what game I'm going to play on the PlayStation after that, I was going to put up a poll with like 4 games and being like, all right, which you choose, my Twitter followers and my subs on YouTube can choose the next PS4 game I'll play, and I'll have 4 listed, and you guys can make that choice and tell me what to play and review and stuff like that. But other than that, yeah, man, like it's 4th of July. Like my dog was going absolutely crazy. I hate 4th of July here for the simple fact that my dog goes nuts. Like he doesn't know what to do with himself because all those fireworks go off,
Yeah, my dog used to like climb onto the back of people. People be sitting down, and my dog would try and climb onto their backs and stuff. But my dog was huge, like 100 pounds.
Yeah. Well, I have a bull mastiff, so my dog is big too. Yeah. But he was like so scared and stuff like that. Like, but it was interesting. Like I hate seeing him like that, but yeah, so you know what? You got to try out HoloLens. I figure what better time to talk about it? It's kind of what we've been playing. You've been playing a bunch of HoloLens. You even like begged for Sunset Overdrive in one of your tweets with it. I'm interested in hearing about it because not many people got to play like the real version of it. I know people played it at E3 a couple years ago, but it was kind of just like a tech demo. You got to play all around with it a lot. So
I got the real deal right here. My full HoloLens dev kit. It's amazing. It's incredible. You just sort of, you don't realize how amazing and cool it is until you've actually used it. It's like I can pin a 100-inch Netflix screen to the wall. There's all sorts of crazy apps like the Actiongram thing that that I made the Sunset Overdrive video with. You can just sort of pin animated 3D objects to your environment and then make little videos. Some of the stuff is like you can add special effects like lightning and sort of like they're like the Snapchat filters but on steroids, and there's all sorts of crazy apps and games where like you can blow up your wall and see through the wall. It's hard to describe. I'm actually going to stream my HoloLens, like a HoloLens tech demo to Mixer one of the days, because I figured out a way to stream what I'm seeing from HoloLens to Mixer. So I'll be doing that one of the days so people can check it out in a bit more detail. But here's the problem, Rand. Here's the problem.
Oh, hold on. Are you going to be negative right now, Jazz? Are you gonna trash on Xbox HoloLens? Because if you are, you know what? We're just leave the podcast, man, because we can't have any of that. No, seriously. Is there a problem with HoloLens? Do you think?
Yeah, it's dead on arrival.
Oh my!
No one's ever going to buy one. Ever.
That's dead on arrival. I mean, that's strong words. You're saying basically it has no future.
HoloLens has no future. Windows Mixed Reality has no future. That's the fact. It's pointless. It's a vanity project that has been completely mis-strategized by Microsoft, and it will never happen. It's a dream. It's a complete dream. And
wow.
You know why it's a dream?
Why is it a dream?
Because Apple is working on augmented reality. And Apple is using the iPhone to build up a developer platform for augmented reality. And there are millions of iPhones, billions of iPhones. There are only a few thousand HoloLenses. So the fact of the matter is, when augmented reality comes to mass market, it's going to be Apple who bring it to mass market, just like the smartphone. And Microsoft are going to miss another boat. It's a shame. But because Microsoft killed their mobile platform, they've got no developers making augmented reality apps. The HoloLens has been out for a year now for developers. There's about 100 apps in the store for HoloLens, and about 10% of them are actually any good. The rest of them are just lame demos that no one will ever use. Now, HoloLens actually does have some amazing applications. Like, for example, it can teach medical students all about the inside of intestine, like organs and stuff, without using a real cadaver. You can have like a 3D model of a heart, and you can teach a whole group of students using a giant 3D model of a heart instead of a real heart, which is tiny and fiddly and expensive over time to get loads of hearts, I guess. And you can see the heart emotion and stuff like that. So there are things that HoloLens does better than phone augmented reality will. But that's the thing. It's never going to be mass market. It's always going to be for businesses and education. Teaching people engineering using 3D models and that sort of thing. It's never going to be for games. You're never going to see HoloLens for Xbox. You're never going to get games for HoloLens. Consumers are never going to use HoloLens. That's the fact, and it's because Microsoft killed their mobile platform, and they have no way of attracting developers to HoloLens. So, I would honestly forget HoloLens and forget Windows Mixed Reality. It's dead.
Wow. Well, I mean, what are your thoughts on VR, AR in general? Like PSVR or Oculus Rift or HTC Vive? I mean, do any of those stand a chance of breakthrough? I know PSVR has done the best. Soul and stuff, but
here's the thing about that, right? I've used Oculus Rift, I've used HTC Vive, I've used PSVR, and I've used HoloLens. HoloLens is by far the most comfortable to use. It's the lightest. It's it's the most comfortable. It's the most adjustable, and the simple fact that I can still see my cup of tea while I'm wearing HoloLens makes it better than a VR headset, right? And you might say, well, you can't compare augmented reality to virtual reality, but the thing is, you can only wear one headset at a time, so they are sort of in They are sort of competing in the same space, well, no matter what anyone says. But the thing is, even though HoloLens is the most comfortable headset that I've used, I still don't want to strap the thing to my face. I don't even like wearing my glasses. You know, it's inconvenient. Why would I wear something on my face when I've got a phone, when I've got a laptop, which do the same stuff, but without having to wear something on my face?
Mm-hmm.
I don't get why there's hype around head-mounted displays. I think it's just hype. Honestly, I think it's a complete. It's just hype, man. All VR is hype. All head-mounted displays is total hype. No one, mass market is never gonna do that. It's like, even now, like I say how cool HoloLens is. It's a chore to use. Because I have to put it on my head, you know.
Right.
So because of that, I don't see it ever obtaining anything beyond Kinect levels of adoption. That's the thing about HoloLens, and that's the thing about PSVR. It just reminds me of Kinect, you know. So I don't think it's going to be a fun little toy for a while, but it's never going to have mainstream adoption. And if anyone can bring augmented reality to the mainstream, it's going to be via phones first. You know, like Pokemon Go is the biggest augmented reality app right now, and it's a phone app. And Apple already have apps that, like, you can measure things using Apple's AR kit using the phone. You don't need a headset. You can just use your phone camera. So, you know, it's just even if people do start wanting to wear headsets, the fact that Microsoft aren't going to have any developers making augmented reality apps has already killed the platform because they screwed up their mobile platform. So, yeah, that's what I think.
So do you think all the big companies? Do you think all the big companies are wrong then? I mean, Facebook invested heavily into this. All these companies are basically saying VR or AR is the future. Could they all be wrong?
Yeah, I think that could be. I mean, I might be wrong. I mean, who am I to say they're wrong? But the thing is, I've used this stuff, and I'm a Microsoft fanboy at the end of the day, and I'm sitting here telling you that HoloLens is not going to catch on because you have to wear it on your head. Simple fact. You know, that could make it lighter. That could make it more convenient. That could make the field of view bigger, because that's another problem. It's got a really small field of view.
Mm-hmm.
But even if they improve all that stuff, I still don't like wearing something on my head. They're trying to fix a problem that doesn't exist. You know,
Right.
like I've got a laptop that does all this stuff, which I don't have to wear on my head. Why would I use a headset? Now, the only way I can see this actually taking off is if they do invent a holographic projector, like in Minority Report, where the holograms actually project somehow into 3D space. That's the only way this is ever going to actually be convenient. But that sci-fi stuff, I can't see that happening in the next decade, you know. So that's what I think. That's genuinely how I feel about HoloLens. Is that even if it does take off, it doesn't have the developer support that it needs to be a thing, and that's because Microsoft killed its mobile platform prematurely. You know, Alex Kipman, who made the HoloLens, went on Time magazine and he said the smartphone is dead, right? He actually said the smartphone is dead because of HoloLens. And I just
I don't
think
know
that's
about that.
that's the most arrogant thing. That's like Bulmer laughing at the iPhone. It's so short-sighted. And the random guy said they're hitting into a niche market. I'm not sure if Jez gets that. I just said that HoloLens is going to be really big in education and business, but it's never going to be big in gaming, and it's never going to be big in mass market. That's what I'm saying, is that it's going to be a business-focused thing, and there are businesses who are doing amazing stuff with it. Like they're using it to survey the surface of Mars. You know, NASA.
What about porn? What about porn?
Porn, maybe. You know, there are a couple of anime apps for HoloLens, which I downloaded just for research purposes. You understand? Where you can put an anime girl into augmented reality. You know, as you understand, just research. So there is that aspect of it, maybe. But again, that's potentially a niche market because you can still get porn on your laptop. You know, that isn't $3,000. So at the end of the day, I just can't see it taking off. And seriously, I would love to be wrong, because HoloLens is really cool. Having 3D windows all around me is really cool. It's a really immersive, vivid experience. But at the same time, I'm seeing the most barren app store ever, even more barren than Windows Phone's app store. And there's no support for this thing. UWP is getting no traction whatsoever. And Microsoft killed their dev platform. So, you know, what are you going to do? It's Microsoft's strategy that's killed HoloLens. And that's just the truth. That's the way I see it. And I hope to be wrong, you know. I really do hope to be wrong, because I do, you know, I want it to be successful, because people have worked really hard on this, and it is amazing science fiction stuff. But because of their strategy around devs, I just can't see it happening. That's just how I feel. And I'd love to be wrong. I would love someone at Microsoft to prove me wrong. But all they've done is shown me that they don't care about their developer community. They have nothing but contempt for UWP developers who worked really hard to try and make Windows Phone a success. They've shown nothing but contempt for their developers. So why would their developers support HoloLens, which is an even smaller install base than Windows Phone? It's insane that Microsoft would think that developers would support them after how they've treated them. That's how I feel. Righteously indignant.
No, I mean, yeah, you know, I don't have an opinion on this. I kind of never thought VR would take off anytime soon, but I also, you know, we kind of need to move on. People, I mean, I love hearing your stuff on this, but we have so many things to talk about. I don't know if you want to do like a HoloLens podcast later where people can just listen to you bitch about HoloLens for an hour and a half.
Well, I'm going to stream it on Mixer, on mixer.com/Windows Central. Quick plug. But I'm going to stream a HoloLens demo on there, so you can see how cool it is, and see how badly Microsoft have fucked up any chances of it being a thing because of how badly they've supported UWP. that's right. Just a fact, you know. So
yeah, and this was just kind of like you know, a part of like what we've played, because you've been playing HoloLens, so I figured let's get that out of the way. So now that that's over, we're gonna be getting into topics. We're gonna be talking about Digital Foundry hitting up those Xbox One X benchmarks, which you had for a long time. But I'm just gonna kind of run through the main topics, and then we'll talk about Sony caught red-handed stealing Anthem footage from the Xbox One X. What else? You know, a whole bunch of other stuff, but basically those are the couple of the main ones. Now, Jez, you're getting an Xbox One X, right?
Yeah, I am. But
did I tell you that I got
because... one? Sorry, go on.
Well, we know why you're getting one. I'm getting one. You're getting one. Whatever. Like we've discussed the reasons why. You know, but I put out a video the other day, and I was able to get one for the low price of $150. You jelly?
Dude, explain this to me, because obviously this is an American thing. I couldn't get on board with this. What actually happened that let everyone get $150 Xbox One X? How did this work?
So even though I do have a video, that deal is kind of dead. What happened was a combination of a couple different things on GameStop's ends, right? So usually towards the end of the month, there's like a trade-in bump value and then a bump down. So a lot of like Nintendo DS games, a lot of Wii U games, a lot of Switch games hold their value remarkably well, right? And GameStop was running a promo where if you traded in 6 games, you got 60% extra trade-in value. And if you were a Power-Ups reward card member, which is like $15 a year, they bumped it up to 70%. So you get an extra 70% value on your trade-in, right? They were also running this buy 2, get 1 free used deal at the same time. And it just happens that Walmart was having a clearance on some games that you could buy for cheap and then actually flip at GameStop for a higher value. So the whole thing was you would buy Amazing Spider-Man 2 on the PS4 or Xbox for $15. You buy Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2 on PS4 and Xbox for like $20. Need for Speed Rivals on the PS4. And basically they would trade in double what you paid for them. So Plants vs. Zombies you buy for $20 at Walmart. It would trade in at $40 at GameStop, basically, right? So you buy those 6 games, you spend about 150. I know people have done it for less, but this is just what I did, right? And so you buy those 6 games at Walmart or Best Buy, you go to GameStop, right? And they'll give you, so you spent 150 and you'll get about $250 in store credit, right? And then with that $250 in store credit, you buy those Nintendo Switch games I mentioned, like Zelda, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, ARMS, or Zelda on the Wii U, or some of the Pokemons on the 3DSs. Like, you would buy those. So you buy 6 and you would get 2 free because it's buy 2, get 1 free, right? And those games with the 70% extra trade-in value, you would fucking basically get $55 or close to it for those games.
Dude. I'm too drunk for all these numbers.
I know. I know.
Just tell me who loses out. Is GameStop getting screwed?
I mean, theoretically, yes, but then like you can only use their credit at their store. It's not like you could really transfer it into cash. So the whole thing was like, so you would buy those 6, you would trade in the 6, you'd buy the 6 Nintendo games, you would trade them in, right? And then you would buy those 6 games again and then trade them in over and over and over again. Now, I live in a suburb of Chicago, so there are plenty of GameStops around me. So I would, trade in the games, and then I would go to a different GameStop and buy them, and then drive to a different GameStop and trade them in, and then drive to a different GameStop and buy them, and then go to a different GameStop and trade them in, right? I ended up with $500, which is what I wanted. That was my goal. I'm like, all right, GameStop basically paid for my Xbox One X. Great deal, right? But I have friends that went up to $2,000. That have $2,000 in GameStop store credit. Yeah, that's like the limit. $2,000 in GameStop store credit for basically $100 investment. I have people tweeting me like all weekend because I put up that video on Sunday, I think it was, being like, "Oh, thank you so much, Rand. Thank you so much, for helping me. Oh, you paid for this or you paid for that." I had people in my comments like, "This fool only mentioned Xbox One X. There's other things to buy." And I'm like, I have a PlayStation. I have all the exclusives. I have an Xbox One. I literally have, and you've seen it because I've showed you, I have like 700 games for the Xbox.
Dude, like, do you have a Nintendo Switch?
No, but I don't want a Nintendo Switch.
You're a goddamn fanboy. You're a goddamn fanboy. That's what you are.
That's the thing. I don't want the Switch.
You call yourself a neutral and you don't even have a Nintendo Switch.
Who calls me a neutral? I like everybody here knows that my preference is for Xbox through and through. Although I am currently greatly enjoying my PS4, I still, my preference is for Xbox. That's where I'm going to play all the multi-platforms and stuff. But yeah, so I helped out a lot of people. I know I helped out Bad Hombre, who's in chat,
you helped
and
a lot of people into unemployment. A lot of GameStop employees.
I don't think so because look, GameStop, look, the thing is, it's their fault, right? Like, you could say I took advantage of their promo, but nobody made them have those 2 promos running during the same time. I mean, that was their decision, not mine.
Do you think Walmart did it on purpose or something? Was it a strategic screwing of GameStop? See, we could turn this into a conspiracy podcast.
What you think GameStop? You think Walmart knew that GameStop was doing this, and then like fucking they dropped the prices on some of the games for it? Yeah.
I think the Earth might be flat too.
The Earth might be flat. Yeah. I've heard about that a lot recently. The Earth might be.
I saw a video. I saw a video on YouTube. It said the Earth was flat. It had some compelling arguments, and now I'm questioning reality.
You are. Uh-huh. You're questioning reality.
Yeah. Just like I'm questioning GameStop's intelligence for having such a lucrative deal that screwed them out of loads of money, no doubt. Although they would have had a lot of footfall during that time, I doubt they've recouped the money from doing that deal.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I the reason I did the video is because I wanted to help other people. Like, because I know a lot of people get screwed by GameStop over time, and it was an easy way. I mean, it was such an easy way to make extra money. Now, whether you wanted to use that money to buy an Xbox One X in the future, whether you wanted to get an Xbox One S or a PlayStation or a Nintendo Switch or a whole bunch of games or iPhones, because they sell that type of stuff, that was whatever you wanted. That was whatever you wanted. Then, get it. Like that's it. Like I had some people saying like, well, he's so screwed in the head because all he mentioned was Xbox. It's like, come on, dude. Like you, I mean, sometimes I think people are smart, but then you read some of the comments that you get and you realize that no, they really aren't. You know, so. But yeah, so I kind of felt good about it. Like I helped a lot of people, and you know what? GameStop screwed me over in the past, so fuck GameStop. You know, give yourself whatever you wanted. I hope you guys took advantage of it in you know, people that are watching and stuff. But I'm sorry that it didn't really work out for the people in the UK or Canada for that matter. It was kind of a US thing only.
Yeah.
I.
Yeah,
so
I probably won't even have to pay for my Xbox One X, so I can't really complain.
Yeah, yeah, you get yours for free. I'll pay for mine.
I get my Xbox One X for free. But the thing is, if I wasn't getting it for free, I'm not sure. Honestly, not sure that I'll buy one because I don't care that much about visuals, you know. And I don't have a 4K TV in Germany, which is where I'm currently living. So in order for me to get an Xbox One X, it would be a 4K TV and an Xbox One X. So that'd be a significant expense, which I would probably rather spend on booze and pizza. So I'm not sure I'll buy one on day one. I don't know.
I'm getting one. I was getting one regardless. Now I'm getting one, you know, for even cheaper. I do have a 4K TV. The games look great on the Pro. They're going to look great on the Xbox One X. And, you know, everybody in chat and everybody who's been listening to me for a while, you know this. I don't care about power. I really don't even care about 4K resolution. I would prefer them to focus on frame rates because that matters to me, but that seems like, you know, they don't really, you know, they don't view that as something to go after, which is a shame, honestly. So, yeah, I mean, so hopefully people just buy whatever you want. Buy whatever you want. Play on whatever system your heart desires on. I think all the systems are worth owning except the Switch. Because what's worth playing on Switch? And I'm joking. God, I know I'm going to have to say that because I know people are going to be like, Ren hates Nintendo. I'm joking. Like, I don't...
I actually feel that way about the Switch. What is worth playing on the Switch? So I'm not a Zelda fan. I'm not a Mario fan. I'm a bit of a Super Metroid fan, but I'm not going to buy a Switch for one game. So seriously, what is worth playing on the Switch? I don't think the Switch is worth buying at all. Come at me, haters. I
mean, I was joking because I know people love a lot of the Nintendo games. People love Zelda, people love Mario Kart, and people love Splatoon and all that stuff. So, I mean, if you're a Nintendo fan, I'm sure there's a lot to like on the system. It's just that I'm not a Nintendo fan.
If you've got a bad taste in games, then you get a Switch. That's what you're telling me.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that. No, don't. No, I'm not saying
that.
That's
a joke. It's a joke. Don't kill me. It's a joke. Sort of a joke.
Right.
Kind of a joke.
So, onto this Xbox One X benchmark stuff that Digital Foundry put out today that you told me you basically had for what, a month now? You've had the same information.
Yes. I had the benchmark info with all... Because I leaked a load of stuff from GDC, like those images of the super sampling stuff, and I leaked that the Xbox One would super sample games, and I leaked that it had internal power brick and all that stuff. That was all from GDC. That was a big cache of information I got from GDC. So I had these benchmarks in that cache of information, but I didn't understand what they meant, so I didn't write it up. But now Eurogamer has them as well, and they understand it far better than me. Clearly. So basically the gist of the benchmarks is that every game that got ported to Xbox One, like Gears of War 4 and all that stuff, they all had a significant amount of overhead left over from being ported and upscaled to use their 4K assets. So like there was still room for things like extra door distance and you know, extra texture filtering for distance and all that sort of upgradey sort of stuff. That's basically the gist of the benchmarking, you know, to explain it in layman's terms.
I mean, from the gist of it and the graphs I saw, it seemed like that the Xbox One X was just going to run games better and higher resolution or a better frame rate than some of the games on the Xbox One. I've always said, like, when it comes to the tech stuff, don't come to me for answers because I'm going to other people for answers because I'm pretty
yeah,
clueless.
I don't know stuff about tech stuff either.
I'm pretty clueless when it comes to that thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty clueless as well, which is why I didn't leak the information, because I didn't honestly know what it meant. It was the information comes from a GDC talk, where basically Microsoft sits there and tells developers, they tell developers that, look, these are all the games that we ported over to the Xbox One X, and we upscaled because the games are change resilient from being developed for UWP. So like, and they use code names for the games, like Game A, Game B, Game C, and all that. And they said what kind of game they were. So like, one was a strategic game, which is obviously Halo Wars 2. And basically they were saying that we ported Halo Wars 2 to the Xbox One X, upscaled it to 4K, and it still had loads of overhead for other visual enhancements. And that's what they're saying to devs is because of... Oh wow, Tone Deaf donated $5.
Would you say that Microsoft is shooting itself in the foot for not opening up pre-orders at E3?
No,
we will talk.
We said no.
Well,
talk
right
about it
now, or do you want to finish this benchmark stuff? Oh, you know what? We'll talk about it now, and then we'll go back to the benchmark stuff. I thought it was a missed opportunity. I thought it was a missed opportunity not to. What?
They legally couldn't open pre-orders because they had to wait for FCC approval, right?
No, right, you're right. Yeah, I mean, they couldn't do it. But I still thought it was a missed opportunity to not have all that stuff approved beforehand and open up for pre-orders at E3 or after the conference was over, because I feel like you would get people to immediately on the high of seeing the system, right? And they would immediately pre-order it, so you can kind of get a gist of how many systems you're going to need to manufacture for November, right? And Best Buy and Walmart can get a gist of like, okay, how much stock do we need? Because then you also like run the risk of like waiting for pre-orders, right? Like, people are on a high, they want to hit that pre-order button, right? And it doesn't cost anything at Amazon, but it does cost some money like GameStop and the other places. But then you run the risk as more kind of negative articles surface. Oh, Digital Foundry says checkerboarding for this game, even though it does have a bunch of native games as well, right? So the longer you wait, the more information comes out about the system, its strengths and its weaknesses, but the weaknesses always tend to get more coverage than the strengths do, because that's just kind of human nature. Like, if you watch like any press show now, they never talk about the good things. They always talk about the bad things on the news because people want to hear about the bad things. They don't really want to hear about the good things. So the negative stuff gets overblown, and people write more articles about the negative stuff, which then in turn will make people like, well, do I really need to spend $500 on a system that's going to checkerboard some of the same games on PlayStation 4, even though, it's going to have a lot of native 4K games itself. So you like run that risk of people like not pre-ordering then, and like who were going to buy the system who are now turned off on buying the system, if that makes any sense.
Well, there's also that impulse purchase factor, you know. They get hyped, and they get really hyped, and they see all the games that have been announced and all that sort of stuff, and then they just they impulse purchase it. So I do think that opening the pre-orders at E3 would have been a godsend, because it's free marketing, it's the impulse purchase factor and all that sort of stuff. But they needed FCC approval, so what could they do? They no doubt would have liked to have had pre-orders open for E3, but it's just one of those things, you know. It's bad luck. It's not going to hurt them in the long run. But by the way, I'm just banning people who fucking go on about console wars, because it's so fucking childish.
Well, just give them a timeout if they're going on about the console wars. If they make personal insults, then just ban them.
Yeah.
I had someone personally insult me. Like, he can say what he wants. I'm the man of a million lies. Okay, you can get timed out. I'm not going to ban you over that. But then he personally went after me and like, oh no, you're blocked now. Like, if you guys want to have a discussion on stuff and, which is better, PlayStation 4 or Xbox, you can get timed out. But if you cross the line of attacking another person, then you'll get banned.
Yes.
And so... But anyways, so do you think they made a mistake on the pre-order stuff or no?
They had no choice. They would have definitely liked it, but you know, what can you do? You can't delay E3. It's just one of those things, man. And it's not like it was close. It was. They still haven't opened pre-orders, you know. So, so what can happen, bro?
Ooh, Matthew Bow says, Jazz, what's good, brother? I've been oversleeping the Roby streams. That's right. You do Morning Mixer with the one and only Justin Roby, a.k.a. Roby1 Kenobi.
Yes,
which is
we do.
Pretty good.
Do stream every morning because Roby gets up at 5 in the morning like a crazy person. And it's like 2 in the afternoon where I am when we stream. But Justin Roby is such a fun guy. He's so funny. And we just play some games every morning on Mixer and have a bit of a laugh, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good in the hood. We were talking about benchmarks.
Yeah, the benchmark stuff. My takeaway from it was just, hey, looks like the Xbox One X is going to run games better than the Xbox One, which was kind of the point. Some games will be native 4K. Some games won't be. Some games will run at 60 frames, and some games, and the majority of the games will probably run at 30 frames, and that's pretty much it, right? Like, if you want a more techie answer, I'm sure there are channels out there that will give you a better answer than the one I just gave, but that's kind of my takeaway from it.
Yeah, it's it's ultimately it's up to devs how it gets used, you know. Microsoft can't control that at the end of the day. The only thing Microsoft has said to devs is that a game has to always have equal or higher specs on Xbox One X. So there can't be a game, for example, if Battlefield 1 is 900p 60 frames per second on Xbox One, it can't be 30 frames 4K on Xbox One X because it's lost frame rate against the Xbox One version. So all games have to be better they can only be better or equal. So every game will be either better or equal on Xbox One X. That's the promise. And it's up to developers how they achieve that. Either they do what Ark Survival Evolved is doing and go for frame rate, or they do what, you know, Shadow of War's doing and go for resolution. That's just the way it's going to be.
Right. Now, yeah, since we don't understand it that much, that's probably all we're really going to talk about it. I'm sure, like I said before, there are other channels out there that will go into more in-depth discussion about what that stuff means, but we are going to move on to a very divisive topic. There was a lot of back and forth about the Sony doctoring Anthem footage. So I'll start off. I'll give the backdrop on it. So Sony put up the Anthem trailer from E3, the one that was shown at Microsoft's conference, as all these publishers and developers always do, right? But people noticed XboxMad or ICXM.net, which is the site that you used to run back in the day, or you founded, correct?
Technically, I still own that site.
Technically, you still own ICXM.net.
I just have nothing to do with it. I own it, but I don't tell them what to do. They do whatever they want. I just have the password to the domain. That's pretty much my involvement with ICXM. If there's a bug with the website, then I fix it. But I don't control what they publish. I think ICXM publishes so much fanboy bullshit that I would never publish. But it's up to them. I let them do whatever they want. But yeah, they broke the story about this Photoshop thing, and they got a lot of hits for doing so. I didn't cover the Photoshop thing on Windows Central because I just don't care. Because devs do this all the time, and to be honest, there's no evidence that it was Sony that did this. It might have been EA that did this. So I didn't want to speculate that Sony... I mean, Sony published the video, right? But maybe EA's PR company sent them the video. You know?
Oh, I know they did. That's how that stuff works. Because you know just as well as me that when you get stuff from developers and codes, they'll send you the trailer, right? This is how the gaming industry works. Microsoft and Sony, they'll sit in there. They sell all these games. The publishers send them the trailers to put up on their YouTube channels, right? EA sent Sony the trailer. Now, I can't say 100% like I know because like somebody told me, but this is how this whole stuff works. Sony was sent that footage from EA, right? EA did a terrible job trying to cover up the fact that it was Xbox One X footage. Right now, Microsoft got caught 2 years ago with The Witcher 3, if you remember, right? They put up like 1080p 60 FPS footage from the PC when the game was only going to be able to run 900p and 30 frames, and there was a huge outrage for it, and Microsoft had to apologize for it and put an annotation to it, right? So I covered it. I said, look, EA did this. They bear most of the responsibility for it because they're the ones who did it. Now, Sony also bears some responsibility for the fact that they probably should have checked to make sure the video was okay to put up. Because, you know, on my YouTube channel, I'm responsible for what goes up on here. I'm even responsible for what Jez says. I mean, if Jez makes a racist or sexist comment, I mean, it is essentially my channel. So I am responsible for what people say on the channel. Like, Jez isn't going to get in trouble. It would essentially be my YouTube channel that gets in trouble, right? I can't, like, if I let somebody...
Sure I get in trouble if I did.
Well, maybe you would, but I'm just saying, like, if I let a buddy upload a video on here and he just goes off on a racist, sexist diatribe, it's going to be me that faces the consequences for it because it's my channel. Now, Sony put up the video. They probably didn't slow it down to the speed to need to see that stuff. They just assumed EA did what EA does for all these videos because that's what these developers do, and they got caught. And the big thing was, like, people were saying, well, okay, so this is how the game's going to look on the PS4 Pro. It looks just the same as Xbox One X, and the reason it looks just the same is because it's literally the Xbox One X footage. So people were questioning if there's any wrongdoing there, and then Sony took down the video, which is basic admission of guilt in some form or manner, because if they weren't guilty of anything, the video would have stayed up. But they took it down, and they haven't put it back up. And the reason they probably took it down, haven't put it back up yet, is because, and let's be honest here, the PlayStation 4 version or PlayStation 4 Pro version of that game probably doesn't exist. There's probably no footage of that game running on a PS4 Pro yet. So
yeah, I imagine so.
So they probably just thought, EA is like, we want to make sure that everybody knows Anthem is coming to every system. We let Microsoft have they paid for them to reveal it. They have a marketing deal, whatever they put up on their channel. And then after a certain amount of time, Sony puts it up on their channel to let Sony know, hey guys, if you're a PlayStation fan, Anthem's coming too, so they can sell as many copies. The problem is, for whatever reason, and I don't even know why people thought about it like this, was people slowed the video down and found the footage, and it was a big brouhaha, and then Sony took it down, which is an admission of guilt, essentially, or at least of wrongdoing to some degree. Now, if you ask for my honest opinion, do I think Sony had anything to do with this? Do I think some intern at PlayStation doctored the footage himself? No, of course not. Because Sony's going to need EA's permission to put that channel up on their channel. So, in my opinion, EA did it. They did a terrible job of it. Sony should have checked to make sure before they put it up. They put it up. Sony bears a little bit of responsibility, but most of it goes on EA. And I had a lot of people hate on me for that opinion. But what do you think, Jez?
I don't think Sony made a mistake, man. I don't think Sony was out to deceive anyone. I think they received erroneous footage and some social media intern fucked up. I didn't see it as a big deal personally, which is why I didn't write about it on Windows Central. But it was great for fanboy stuff. There was loads of console war stuff about that. And to be fair, Anthem looks too good to be true already. I wouldn't be surprised if. Do we all remember what The Division looked like in the trailers? The Division looked incredible in the trailers. Now, the footage did say that it was running on Xbox One X.
Yeah, Digital Foundry says it was running on it. Patrick Sunderland said it was Xbox One X. Phil said it was Xbox One X.
I still don't believe it, though, because, you have to look back at, history, and games are, when they make demos for trailers, it's not the same as the game running for real. You don't have the full open world. You don't have all the online characters coming in and making the game laggy. You don't have all this dynamic stuff happening. What you have is perfect conditions to make a great trailer. So I don't fucking believe that Anthem footage until I see it for real. After The Division, after all these games that have lied to us over the years, I'm not going to believe that Anthem footage was totally real. You know, it's not Ubisoft. Fair enough. You know, we had the Watch Dogs thing, we had Division, all those games got downgrades. There's no point believing the footage until we get something more concrete, like live demos and all that sort of stuff. There's no point believing that stuff. So for Sony to use footage which might not even be real, you know, there's no reason to believe that footage was real. After all the lies games get told over the years, there's no reason to believe that footage was real. Who cares if Sony used that footage and photoshopped buttons over? Because that wasn't real. That honestly, it wasn't real game footage. It wasn't running in a beta environment or an alpha environment. It was done for the sake of it being a trailer. So I don't see it as a big deal at all, man. What I see as a big deal is the fucking shitty Photoshop job they did on it.
Yeah, you would think they would have a better person do that. And I see a couple people in chat saying like, oh, you know, like, oh, well, Sony should have slowed down the entire thing to make sure. Like, listen, all I'm saying is you're responsible for what you put up on your channel. I mean, I'm sure Sony thought that EA would do a good enough job and they didn't have to worry about it, and they put it up and they got burned. Now Sony's in trouble for it. Like Jess says, how much is this thing? And look, we probably won't ever know the true details of it. Is it a possibility that Sony took the Xbox footage, the direct capture, and photoshopped it themselves and put it up without EA's permission? I mean,
unlikely.
Unlikely, but I mean, the possibility exists. I won't dismiss it out hand. It's just that I think EA took the Xbox One X footage. They transposed the fucking PlayStation icons on top of them. They did a piss poor job. They sent it over to Sony, and Sony put it up. Until we get a confirmation 100% from anywhere, like if EA comes out and said they did it or Sony comes out and said they didn't, we'll never know. What the interesting thing is you see some of the double standards at work. Like it happened with Microsoft at Witcher 3, right? Like they put up that PC footage and they were forced to apologize. People were furious. There was long-ass threads at NeoGAF saying, oh, someone needs to be held accountable for this. When this happened, in this same manner, the same type of thread at NeoGAF was people were calling for it to be locked, and it wasn't a big deal. But it's like, well, so what? It's not a big deal now, but it was a big deal 2 years ago when Microsoft did it. Some of the double standards can be. What's the right word I'm looking for here?
I'm so fucking drunk right now, man. You just don't
You're so drunk. You're gonna drop some leaks, Jazz. People love it when you're drunk.
I don't have any. I'm fresh out of leaks right now, but I'm so fucking drunk right now. So drunk. I'm drinking.
Well, I mean,
Gentleman Jack, which is so nice, but so overpriced. It's overpriced for what it is, but it's a really, really nice whiskey for just how available it is, you know. Just saying, buy some whiskey.
Anyways, so enough about the Anthem stuff, because
I don't believe Anthem's real.
Well, you don't believe it's real. I questioned it. I got called out for that. Look, if you believe Digital Foundry on all their other stuff and you take these people at their words, okay, it's real, but like Jess says, like the downgrades for games happen. Is Anthem too good to be true? I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much of that was like, was that as scripted as a demo as you could get? Like, could he have flied off to the left if he wanted to, or the game would have crashed? I mean, we really don't know.
Honestly, I want to believe Anthem is true because it looks fucking amazing.
They've been working on the game for a while, Jazz.
I've been burned so many damn times. The Division, Watch Dogs, Mass Effect, Andromeda. I've been burned so many fucking times this gen. I am refused to believe Anthem is a real thing until I actually get my hands on it and find out that it's good for myself. There's just no point getting hyped for trailers anymore. They just there's just too often that it's bullshit, you know. Battlefield 1 turned out to be amazing. So EA might be telling the truth. And hopefully they are. But Mass Effect Andromeda was so bad that I just don't believe anything anymore.
Now,
I'm just gonna start crying in a minute. I wanted Andromeda to be good, but
there was a couple weeks ago, and maybe you were going to talk about this on last week's podcast, but you weren't able to because you weren't here.
Yes.
You were kind of backtracking a bit about Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yes, I need to explain what happened here, because a lot of people were pissed at me about this, because I said Star Wars Battlefront would be 4K 60. Now, I had really good information that it would be 4K 60, and I've heard that it was being tested at 4K 60 for Xbox One X in the same labs that they were testing mid-range to high-end PCs for Battlefront 2. And the thing is, the guy who told me that Battlefront would be 4K 60 is the same guy who told me that Red Dead Redemption 2 would be delayed 2 weeks before it got delayed. So I thought, okay, he told me this got delayed, so now I believe him that it's going to be 4K 60, because I had other information from earlier in the year that it would be 4K 60 as well. So I thought, okay, I've got two separate sources of information telling me the Battlefront is going to be 4K 60. But now it looks like it's not going to be 4K 60 on Scorpio. And it might not even be 60. I've actually heard now that it might be 30 frames per second, which is scary. So I could be complete. I fucked up there. I believed the guy because he told me leaks that turned out to be true, and I had other information that said 4K 60, which was part of another cache of information that also turned out to be true, like the Xbox One not having a power brick, and the Xbox One having super sampling, and the Xbox One having 4K DVR. That was all part of the same leak. The fact that Battlefront would be 4K 60 was part of the same leak that I had, that it would have 4K game DVR, which is quite specific. So I thought that it was credible enough for me to claim that it would be 4K 60. But now that it's looking like it's not going to be 4K 60 now. And apparently, it's not because, now this is what I've been told. It's not because the Xbox One isn't capable of running Battlefront at 4K 60. It's something to do with Frostbite not being able to run the game at multiple resolutions or something in multiplayer, because of the way, if you ever noticed a Battlefront multiplayer game has this weird rubber banding effect during laggy sequences. It's gotten a lot better over the years, but if you played Battlefront, if you played Battlefield 3 or 4, it's got this rubber banding effect. Apparently, online, when the games have different visual capabilities, apparently that effect gets worse or something. Now, it's something they might fix. So maybe it could still be 4K 60, but apparently they're testing it now at 4K 30 frames per second. I don't know. And the thing is, this guy, the game's still in development, so things can change. So I was naive to assume that the game would be 4K 60 at launch, because things change over time, and that's why EA hasn't announced the official resolution and frame rate of the game yet. So I fucked up. I'm still learning. I've only been blogging for 2 years. Give me a break.
Right. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. People are like, if it comes out and you're, okay, you were saying 4K 60, people ran with it. You got bad info, and if it really is 4K 30. People are going to flip out, not necessarily at you, but because the original Star Wars Battlefront, the one that came out 2 years ago, was 60 frames multiplayer.
Now that's why I don't believe that information either, because I've been told now that it's 30 frames per second, but I don't believe that, because why would they go backwards? It's Battlefield 1 is 60, Battlefront 1 is 60. Why would they go back to 30?
Dude, people will eat them alive if the multiplayer portion, it regresses from 60 to 30. People will eat them alive, because people gave Destiny so much shit. You remember, for 30 frames, because literally every multiplayer game besides Destiny 2.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, Rand. I've asked people at Xbox about this. I've talked to people at Xbox about the whole frame rate thing, and people at Xbox have told me that they've got data that they say frame rate doesn't sell games. Visual effects sell games. People care about how games look rather than how many frames per second they have. And they've got data that backs that up. So if that's the data and only us guys care about frame rate, the hardcore crowd, maybe that's why it's going to be 30. I don't know. And I said, and this was someone pretty high up at Xbox. I'm not going to say who it is, but it was someone pretty fucking high up. And I said to them, Overwatch launched at 60 frames per second, and Battleborn launched at 30 frames per second, and they're both sort of as superficially similar games.
And did they say it was because one's Blizzard and one wasn't?
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. So they discount the 60 frames because one's Blizzard, right? And I'm sure, okay, you look at Grand Theft Auto 5 and that's 30, and that's one of the best-selling games. You look at Minecraft and that's 30, right? You look at Destiny and that's 30. So, like, you kind of look at a scenario where you cherry-pick your information. Like, it's like, look at all these best-selling games and they're 30 frames per second, and the games that are 60 frames per second don't sell nearly as well. So, therefore, nobody really likes 60 frames enough to go and buy it. But then again, Call of Duty is 60 frames. So I don't know. I don't know, dude. Like, I just know people, if they regress from 60 to 30 in the multiplayer, I'm not talking about the single player, because I think the single player would be 30 regardless. But if they regress from 60 to 30 for the multiplayer, they're going to get shit. They're going to get eaten on. And it won't just be Xbox. It'll be EA. Because you essentially took a 60 frame per second multiplayer game, which is the basic standard now for multiplayer in games, and you're taking it back to 30. People are not going to like that if that comes to be true.
No, they won't. That's why I personally don't believe this information. So just take it like this. I've heard that they're now testing it at 30 frames per second. Now, I don't believe that EA wants that game at 30 frames per second, because it's a regression, like you say. But if it does come to be 30 frames per second, remember this podcast, because...
And if it's 60, remember the other ones where Jess says it was 60.
Yeah, I've covered all my bases now. I tell you one thing, it won't be 15 frames per second. I guarantee you guys. It
won't be 15 frames per second.
I don't believe that it'll be 30. I don't believe it. It's ridiculous. It's a fucking multiplayer shooter at 30. I don't believe it. The Battleborn sucked at 30. It sucked at 60 as well, but it sucked even worse at 30. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know, man. Like, I hope it's 60, because, like, playing games in 60 frames is better. No, this is an interesting discussion. Like, you brought up the fact that you talk to people at Xbox and they're like, 60 frames doesn't matter for sales, or at least in a big enough thing. And it's like, is that true? Like, look, and I know they have all the data. They have all the analytical data from everything people do on Xbox, but do they have all the analytical data of what people buy on the PlayStation? Because, like, I'll mention this, like, the best-selling game this past week in the UK was Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, right? And if you compare the launches for everything else,
people don't like old games. What are you talking about?
But dude, Crash outsold every single game in launch week except for Ghost Recon.
But dude, nobody likes old games.
I guess, but dude, like, I look at that, I'm like, Crash outsold Horizon Zero Dawn, Crash outsold Halo Wars 2, Crash outsold Nier and Neo and all these hardcore games. It outsold multiplats like For Honor and Prey, any of the multiplats you can think of, Injustice 2 and things like that. And the only one it couldn't was Ghost Recon. And I'm sitting there like, look, I knew Crash was popular, right? Like, especially back in I didn't think it was that fucking popular, where it was like, yeah, by the way, like, screw Halo Wars 2. Didn't you
get a PS1 when you were a kid?
I did have a PlayStation 1, yes, but I never was a fan of Crash, though.
Me neither, but fucking when you're a kid and you get a PS1 and it's bundled with Crash Bandicoot, at least in the UK, all the fucking PS1s were bundled with Crash Bandicoot. Do you remember that nostalgic feeling where you boot up the console and you get that sort of sweeping reverb where the PlayStation logo loads up, and then you boot into Crash Bandicoot and it's got these 3D graphics that you've never seen before? Isn't that just like the best feeling in the fucking world? Isn't that not the best fucking feeling?
I just look. All I'm saying is we live in a world now where like Crash Bandicoot is the best-selling game, and since UK and the US mirror each other, it's probably going to happen here. Like Crash Bandicoot is going to sell more than Halo fucking Wars. It's going to sell more.
Why wouldn't it?
Well, I don't know, Jez. I thought maybe people would buy exclusives on the Xbox at some point. I guess
Halo Wars is a fucking RTS on console.
Right, but still sold. The first one still sold 3 million copies. Like, let's not forget that.
Yeah, but that was during Halo's heyday.
I know, and that was when Xbox was king. But like, dude, and it's not just Halo Wars. It's also Horizon fucking Zero Dawn, dude.
Speaking of Halo Wars, just to go off on a tangent for a very brief moment, the Flood is back. Yeah, am I the only person excited about this? I don't care about.
You just said nobody cares about Halo Wars. So who cares if the Flood's back?
I care about Halo Wars because the Flood's back, and the Flood are here to kill the Prometheans and take us back to old school Halo. That's the truth.
Do you think the Flood will return in Halo 6?
Yes, because Halo Wars 2 directly leads into Halo 6. That's a fact. FYI. So if you want Halo Wars 2 is pretty much a prequel to Halo 6.
I think Jazz is. Oh, you still there, Jazz?
Can't you hear me?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I just thought of a question. I wanted to ask you about the 60.
I'm so fucking wasted right now.
I wanted to ask you this. If this high person at Microsoft said nobody buys 60 frames per second games, then why did they prioritize 60 frames on Halo? And why did they prioritize 60 frames for Gears if nobody cares about that stuff?
They didn't tell me that nobody cares about that.
I'm just saying.
What they said is their data says that people care more about resolution than frame rate. That's what their data said. And they're not talking about hardcore gamers here. They're talking about mass market. They're talking about people who buy games because they saw a trailer. And trailers generally aren't 60 frames per second, are they? They're generally 24 frames per second, or like TV, or 30 frames per second. So they're still the kind of gamer that people.
You see, but what's the explanation for Call of Duty then? Because Call of Duty's been 60 frames since it came out back in the early 360 days. Are you just going to ignore that because it's people like? Are they basically saying people would buy
Call of Duty because of its frame rate?
Yeah, but maybe that's the reason why it played better than the other games at the time, because they prioritized the frame rate over 30. Like, people always liked COD because it was so smooth and they had that RPG factor.
It's because casual gamers, they don't even perceive that stuff, man. They don't even perceive it. They don't even know what FPS means.
I just find it hard to believe that casuals will say frame rate doesn't matter, but resolution does. It's like the casuals are
not resolution, just visuals in general. The way the game looks in a trailer matters more than a game having 60 frames per second. Apparently, that's what someone with access to Xbox's marketing data. And Microsoft are the kings of fucking statistics. They are the kings of statistics. They harvest so much user data. And they put it through fucking their servers and their artificial intelligences and their algorithms, and they come out with all these fucking spreadsheets and graphs and all that stuff. They are the kings of data harvesting and interpreting big data. Microsoft basically invented big data, and they say that frame rate isn't that important compared to the way a game looks in the trailer. That's basically what they told me. Not necessarily resolution.
No, I mean, I believe you because I've had similar conversations. I don't know. And it's like, they're the kings of data, yet we can't even get fucking data for how many Xbox Ones have been sold. So, like, come on.
They know. They just don't want to.
I know they know. But, like, people were like, how do you know what Xbox? I'm like, I don't know if it's 28 million. I don't know if it's 30 million. I don't know if it's 32 million. People are like, well, it's 36 million. Like, I don't fucking know what the numbers are because Microsoft doesn't. We only get MAUs. We get monthly active users. MAUs.
MAUs is all that fucking matters, man. It's all about
MAUs is all that matters.
It's all about their MAUs, baby. Nobody cares about you, and it's all about them fucking Moors.
It's all about them fucking Moors, man.
I've run out of mixer, so now I have to drink whiskey neat. So I'm gonna get really fucking drunk now.
Oh shit, Jess is gonna get really fucking drunk. I'm
just drinking neat whiskey now. I've got no cola left, so I'm gonna get fucking wrecked.
Ooh, it's gonna be good.
I want you to know, Ran, that I really love you, man. You're my best internet friend. You're amazing.
Internet friend. Oh, thank you, Jez. I appreciate it. I love doing the podcast with you.
I'm really, really sad that you weren't at E3 because I wanted to give you a hug.
I wanted to be there too. Trust me. I wanted to be at E3 as well. Next year, though, we're gonna do it up big. We're gonna do it up big.
You better, man. You better be there next year.
I'm gonna try to be there. I'm really gonna try. So I don't know if you saw this, but I don't know if anybody's really gonna care in the chat, but we have a new gamer score leader on Xbox. Did you hear this about this, guys?
I did, and I saw the guy's reply. He said he was too busy having sex to get gamer score.
Yeah, I know.
I know. I brag about sex are people who don't actually get any.
Oh, I've known Stallion since 2006. He's been dating her, the person Cindy, who he married for 12 years. So I just thought it was funny. Like, he's been #1 for 11 years, and he got passed up. And it's interesting because I know both of them, and it's funny because people were like, "I thought you were #1." I'm like, No, the highest I ever got was #4. I never wanted to be #1. I was always happy with where I was at.
I never wanted to be #1.
I didn't. I never wanted to be #1. I never cared to be #1.
Everyone wants to be
because who cares? Who cares?
Who cares?
Gamer score. Look,
you've got a million gamer score. Of course,
I do. No. Hold on. I've had this conversation plenty of times with my friends. Gamer score and achievements are essentially meaningless. Okay, the only meaning they have is to the person that are getting them. My gamer score, my achievements mean something to me. I don't expect it to mean anything to anybody else. But in the grand scheme of things, they're virtually nothing. You know, like, since they're everywhere and every game has them, and there's no, like, you know, you can get 1,000 in a game in 5 minutes, but then another game has 1,000 that takes fucking 500 hours. There's no kind of like correlation between the scores, and it's kind of tough to look at something and be like, even on the Sony side with like, oh, I'm trophy level fucking 50, but you would have to like delve deep to look to see what he played. I'm just saying, like, I've always said that though, like, and the man with the million thing, the introduction was just somebody said that to me. I thought it was cool, and I ran with it. Like, it's just a tagline for YouTube. Hey, the man with the million. I thought it sounded cool. I'm sure other people think it's
so. Hang on. What you're telling me is you got all that gamer score because you wanted to have a tagline for YouTube.
No. I got all that gamer score because I like playing video games, and getting gamer score and achievements comes with playing video games nowadays. When you play a game, you get trophies and achievements. And yes,
you know what my gamer score is? It's fucking pathetic, actually. I've got like 80,000 gamer score.
And
that's terrible. It's terrible. I don't even have 100,000. I'm a pseudo gamer.
More gamer score than most people in the chat right now.
Well, you know, Microsoft released those stats at Christmas, don't they? Where they're like, you've got more gamer score than 95% of Xbox gamers, and apparently I have got more gamer score than 95% of Xbox gamers. But the thing is, when you make a Microsoft account, you're basically given an Xbox Live account for free. So most people probably have 0 gamer score.
Probably. I mean, most people probably don't give a shit about it. And I've said it from the beginning. I love video games. I love playing games. So like my love of playing games also kind of turned into like love of getting achievements. And yes, I played shitty games just for the achievements. I played Hannah Montana and My Horse and Me Too, and games you would probably be wondering why the fuck you playing this stuff. Yes, I did, because I also like seeing that score go up. So sue me. So sue me.
You played Barbie games for achievements.
I played fucking a Barbie game. I played Barbie. What the fuck. It was on game of the 360. I played Hannah Montana. Like, look, like, and it's not like I'm proud of it, but I'm not gonna. If somebody asks, I'm not gonna lie about it. You know.
Tell us, and everyone watching, what the fuck Hannah Montana the game is about. What do you do? Is it a platformer? Is it an action RPG? Is it a first person shooter? Come on, give us the
dude. It's been a long time since I played Hannah Montana, but the basic gist of it was like I think you were getting like costumes. So it was like 2 parts of a game. You would like kind of like walk around a place and get these things and solve like kind of small puzzles. And then you would go on perform at night as Hannah Montana. And it was kind of like Guitar Hero because you had to hit the buttons in a certain order as she's singing and shit. That is Hannah Montana. Everybody should experience that.
Oh my god. Is it on backwards compatibility? I bet it isn't. And
I don't know, but I've also played.
I don't think it ever will.
Brought it up. Barbie and her sister's Puppy Rescue. Yes.
Okay. Tell us about Barbie Puppy Rescue. Come on, I want to hear it. What the fuck?
People are gonna unsub. They're gonna start disliking. Look, we have 227. We have 250 watching before I went in this tangent. Hit that like button. Considering a lot of people are gonna see this later and hear me talking about Barbie Puppy Rescue and hit that dislike button. So,
dude,
do us a favor. Hit that thing. Hit that like button. Okay, all right. So Barbie Puppy Rescue is a game on the 360. It came out right before the Xbox One came out, or maybe it was after. I forget. So you play as Barbie's sister, and you're in this little town, right? God, I can't even believe I'm fucking explaining this right now. But
oh my god.
So you essentially you ride your bike around town until you hear these dogs crying, and then you'd come to the dog, and there'd be like some mini game to like pick the dog up, and the whole point was to get him adopted. So then you'd go back to the adoption place, and he may need his fucking nails clipped, so you clip his nails in a mini game. He may need to be combed for fleas, so that's a mini game. You may need to brush his teeth. There's a whole bunch of mini games to clean these dogs, and then you put them out in the yard, and they would have to be played with, and there's mini games for that stuff until eventually they were adopted. And that was the whole point of the game. Rinse and repeat until you had the 1,000 gamer score.
You actually played that for gamer score?
Yes, of course I did.
I'm fucking done, man. I'm just done.
People don't understand. When I say I play every game, I literally play every game. I mean, I've played like 1,300 games on the Xbox systems. Like, I play a whole bunch of shit. I do all that stuff. So, yeah, you guys can make fun of me. You can laugh. You can be like, Rand played. I'm like, look, I play everything. That's just how I've always been.
No. That, to me, that says you are a real fucking gamer, Rand. You will play even the worst games ever made. What is the worst game you've ever played for achievements?
There was this one game. There was this one game. It was called okay, there's 2 that come to mind. It was Planet 51 on the 360. Every time I play that game, within 30 minutes, I get a migraine headache. You had to basically pick up shit. Like, literal shit in that game was one of the things you had to do. Because there's a monkey in a cage, and he's shit everywhere, and then you had to fucking clean it up. Okay? The other game that I hated playing on the Xbox One was Worms. Ugh.
Worms?
Worms. I am sorry. If you're listening to this and you made Worms, you should probably do something else with your life, because you want to know something? Worms is a terrible franchise, and they are terrible games.
Oh my god. You did not just say Worms is a terrible franchise.
Yes. Worms is one of the most terrible franchises I've ever had the chance to play.
Oh my god. I'm learning things about you I never wanted to know.
I'm just saying, man. You can talk to my buddies DOA and Magic. I couldn't stand that shit. I could not. I couldn't. Wow. There's a game recently that came out on Xbox, but I'm drawing that I couldn't. Oh, I know what it was. Verdun. Verdun is a pile of trash.
Dude,
like if you
I quite like Verdun, actually.
Are you serious right now?
Do you know what I liked about Verdun? Is the fact that the bodies didn't disappear after death. So over the course of a match, it was like a real war, and there'd just be piles of bodies everywhere. I thought that was cool, but that's the only thing I liked about it. Everything else was terrible.
Verdun is a game I got for free from the developers. They're like, would you make a video? And of course, like, developers send me their games, and I do their stuff, right? I could only stomach And this is coming from somebody who's played Barbie Puppy Rescue, who's played My Horse and Me 2, who's played Horse Racing 2016, who's played all the worst games you could possibly imagine for 5 to 10 hours, and I could only stomach Verdun for 30 minutes before I deleted that piece of shit off my hard drive.
I liked it. I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, okay, it was pretty broken, and the matchmaking didn't work that well, but dude, it had gore. Most shooters don't have gore nowadays.
It's a terrible, terrible game. The developers feel sad that they made that
game. What about that soda drinker game? Did you play that?
Oh, I mean, that's not even a game. The dude made that in a day. I mean, come on.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, it was basically just it's a shit game too. I've heard somebody high up at Microsoft also say that it's probably the worst game on Xbox. So yeah, man, what did this podcast turn into suddenly? Jeez,
you got some dislikes for saying Worms was a bad franchise. Seriously,
I understand. I got 2 dislikes. People seem to like, we have 230 people watching, but only 78 of them could actually give us a like. Like we provide free entertainment. Buttons, I mean, come on.
Hit those likes buttons, guys. What are you doing? I'm fucking wasted. I've drank at least $15 worth of whiskey for you guys. Not for me. Not for me at all. It's not like I'm trying to dull the pain of my existence or anything. I drank it for you guys. For you
guys. Drank it for you. Drank it for you so everybody can have a good freaking time.
Wow, Jazz, someone undisliked.
I know, right? Someone's like, okay, yeah, like you're right. No, then someone just disliked it, so whatever. We have before we get into some other topics, there's a question I got sent on Twitter that I want to talk about, and it's about Gamescom, since that's coming out in a couple months.
I'll be attending Gamescom. FYI.
Yes, you'll be at Gamescom. So this is Bunyan at Bunyan Man. He wants to know, do you think we will see any new AAA games announced for Xbox at Gamescom? And if so, what do you think we will see?
Now, under Phil, I kind of feel like I love you, Phil. If you're watching this, I highly doubt you're watching this, but if you are, know that I love you.
Oh, if he was, he turned it off a long time ago.
Yeah, but Microsoft under Phil, Xbox under Phil, seems to be a little bit reactionary. So I would expect that at Gamescom, they might react to criticism of their E3 by doing things they got criticized for at E3. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did announce something major. Oh, fuck, I've just dropped my cola all over the floor. I would be surprised if they didn't announce... I wouldn't be surprised if they did announce some major things at Gamescom, whether it's new dashboard, as some people have theorized, whether it's the pre-orders or whether it's a new franchises, even if it's just a tease. Even if it's just a tease, I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft responds to criticism of their E3 at Gamescom, because that's the whole point of Gamescom. It's to sort of, if there's like negativity about any aspects of their E3, they usually try and rectify it at Gamescom, and that's what Gamescom's all about. Gamescom's like the sort of, I don't know, the sort of rebound of E3. Like you have E3 and you have this big hangover, and then Gamescom is like a fucking bacon sandwich that you crave after you've been drinking, So, what? I don't even know what that metaphor means, but basically what I'm trying to say is that they'll try and fix whatever criticism they had at E3 at Gamescom. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did make some major announcements. Now, some of the things that people have been suggesting they're going to announce is a new redesign of the Xbox dashboard using the Fluent design system. I've gotten a couple of tweets about this, and I certainly don't have any leaks about any Fluent design aspects to the dashboard, And Ahmet Sen is laughing at me for saying the dashboard redesign is something major for me. I fucking love graphic design. What can I say? Fucking sue me. I got so excited when Microsoft announced the Fluent design system But I'm just a nerd for that shit, you know. And most people maybe they won't care. But the thing is, when we do write articles about design changes to the Xbox dashboard, they get shitloads of hits. So obviously someone else cares about dashboard redesign, you know. But regardless, I would expect something cool to be announced at Gamescom. And I know that at the very least they're going to elaborate on some games that are coming out towards the end of the year, like State of Decay. Well, not State of Decay, that's coming out next year, but Crackdown 3 is going to get a multiplayer demonstration at Gamescom. And there's going to be some other stuff demonstrated at Gamescom and that sort of thing. So, and there are major executives attending Gamescom, like Aaron Greenberg, which everyone loves right now.
The oops heard around the world.
Yeah, and you know, they always have a good showing at Gamescom. Major Nelson will probably be there, and that sort of thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's something interesting. What are you expecting from Gamescom?
I would be surprised because they made the interview rounds afterwards saying that like they wanted to show a diverse lineup. That Phil just made some deals coming out that won't be ready for a couple years. So I don't expect to see anything new or anything huge for that matter. I think it'll be smaller arcade type deals, maybe some announcements. I fully expect, I fully expect them to show off Crackdown multiplayer. I wouldn't be surprised if they did maybe a demo for the 4-player co-op of State of Decay. Other than that, I don't know what they could possibly show that you wouldn't have shown at E3 to get more buzz, because Gamescom doesn't really get the buzz as much as E3 does. You know, Sony, I don't think is going to be there either this year, at least have some sort of thing. So I don't think we'll see that much, and I'm not expecting to see that much. So if they do come with some interesting stuff, then I'll be happy because my expectations are low.
My expectations aren't particularly high for Gamescom. Last year, the headline announcement for Gamescom last year was pretty much, we've got a FIFA bundle for Xbox One S. That was pretty much the headline thing. But
Bunyan also had another question for us. He wants to know, when do you think we'll start seeing ads for the Xbox X ramp up, and what are some key points you want them to hit for it?
Good question. Now, this is a dilemma, you see, because one of my criticisms of Microsoft and one of your criticisms from Microsoft from E3 was the fact that they didn't have any AAA games to announce at E3. So the only games they really have to bundle with any advertising for the Xbox One X are multiplats that they've got marketing deals with. So Assassin's Creed Origins, Shadow of War, and then the first-party games like Crackdown, which, to be honest, Crackdown is not going to be a system seller. I'll be honest. You know, I fucking really enjoyed Crackdown 3 when I played it. It's got a black hole gun, which is hilarious, but I don't think it's going to be a system seller because it doesn't have that sort of that AAA quality about it. I sort of think, you know, and. Because of that, I'm not expecting Crackdown 3 to be a system seller. But the thing is, Assassin's Creed Origins and Shadow of War could potentially be system sellers. But we both know, Rand, that Xbox One X is not going to do the same sort of numbers that the Xbox One S does, purely on the basis of its price.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm not sure that we'll see an aggressive marketing campaign for the Xbox One X anyway, because Microsoft probably doesn't expect it to sell that well based on the virtue of its price. The people that are going to buy the Xbox One X are engaged tech enthusiasts and engaged Xbox One enthusiasts who want the best out of their ecosystem. And they're the people that you don't really need to market to. You know, they're already sold in the ecosystem. They're already entrenched in the ecosystem. They've already got 700 games like Rand in the ecosystem. They don't need a TV ad to convince them to buy an Xbox One X. They've already made the fucking decision to buy an Xbox One X. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see an aggressive marketing campaign for the Xbox One X, because Microsoft probably thinks that the proposition is, you know, it's probably too far out there for mass market. You know, you're asking people to buy a 4K TV and all that sort of stuff, but I'm not going to sit here and suggest there won't be any marketing for the Xbox One X. There's going to be some marketing for it, and they will probably market it towards the casuals who probably haven't even heard of it, and they'll say, your games will look better on 1080 TV to get the benefits of the Xbox One X. And that's true in some ways. All games will look and run better on the Xbox One X as long as they've been updated to the latest XDK, which isn't hard to do. It's free to do, and it doesn't take that long to do. So they will probably emphasize the benefits for 1080p TV owners. They will emphasize obviously the benefits of 4K to people who do have a 4K TV, and they will use multiplats like Assassin's Creed and Shadow of War to make that point. But I don't think we'll see an aggressive marketing campaign on the same scale as an Xbox One launch, for example. I don't think we'll see anywhere near what we saw for the Xbox One's launch, or especially the PlayStation 4's launch. I don't think we'll see anything like that. Expect low-key marketing like the PS4 Pro. That's what I would personally imagine. I don't know what you think about it, Rand. Let me know.
I don't know, like, because I think they're going to market it hard. Honestly, yeah, I think so. Because I think they're going to market the Xbox family, essentially. But I think they're going to go market it hard, like the choices that you can give. I mean, they already have. They've kind of talked about this a lot in the last year or so, and to not market it hard or go at it hard, even despite it being $500, maybe that's the wrong decision. I don't know. Like, I see them, October probably, to start ramping up the TV marketing and the YouTube marketing and all that stuff for the launch in November. I would not be surprised that if Crackdown 3 is a bundle game, like you can buy the Xbox One X with Crackdown 3, or maybe with Forza Motorsport 7.
There's going to be a Shadow of War bundle. You know,
Shadow of War and Assassin's Creed. Even though
I interviewed. Sorry to interrupt, but I interviewed Mike Nichols at E3, and he kind of hinted to me that there would be some kind of special edition, a la Gears of War special edition, for this holiday season. So, do we think that'll be Crackdown or Shadow of War? Because Shadow of War is a system seller compared to Crackdown.
The problem with Shadow of War is Shadow of War comes out in October. Like, that's the thing. Like, even with Assassin's Creed, they come out. I mean, I guess it's possible you have the bundles for them, but maybe not. I don't know. Being as Crackdown's first party, and they probably maybe want to push some units on that, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bundle. I expect there to be bundles with games. I'm just not sure what they're going to be. Forza, possibly. Crackdown, maybe. But they're not. It's not going to be like a custom, like built one that like. I don't think they're going to do custom consoles or anything like that.
That'd be so cool though, if they did. I'd be all over that, dude. I'm so wasted right now. Hello.
Yeah, sorry. So we have a question in chat from Ahmet Sen. He says, "Do you think that?" After all, Microsoft hiring for Horizon Zero Dawn-like game in the UK means they possibly got the new IP by Playground Games. I mean, I guess anything's possible. We don't know for sure 100%. I did make that video kind of tying the two together. Like, there was that recruitment tweet. He was looking for a lead environment artist. One of the clients that he represents happens to be Playground Games, who was also on their website looking for a lead environment artist. We do know that Playground Games is next. They built a second studio to make a new IP, and I did hear that the new IP is an open world RPG, kind of similar to Witcher, or at least their take on The Witcher. So it's entirely possible that Microsoft has that game. Originally I heard they didn't, but things change. I don't know. Maybe it's Fable instead. I don't know. But like,
I'll believe it when I see it. I don't. The problem with Microsoft's first party is that they just don't have.
This wouldn't be first party. This would be like a deal.
Second party.
Essentially, yeah.
With who?
Playground.
Oh, okay.
The people that do Forza Horizon.
I don't know, man. I don't want to speculate on that sort of stuff because Microsoft haven't really proven themselves to be the greatest at AAA games. Gears of War 4 was great, but it didn't really evolve the franchise particularly in a big way. Halo 5 had amazing multiplayer, but the campaign was lackluster. I really question Microsoft's ability to deliver AAA games right now. You know, and that's I'm saying that as someone who's happy with Xbox overall, but I'm mainly happy because of multiplats, Xbox Live, and that sort of stuff, you know, and just because I'm invested in the ecosystem. I would like to see Microsoft pull out a Horizon Zero Dawn out of their ass, but I can't see it. So I welcome Microsoft to prove me wrong. You know, I love their AA games. I enjoyed Recall. I enjoyed Halo Wars 2. But these games aren't system sellers, you know, and they're not system sellers like Horizon Zero Dawn. When Horizon Zero Dawn came out, I saw so many fucking people in my timeline run out and buy PlayStations, you know. I don't believe Microsoft can deliver something like Horizon Zero Dawn. I'd love to be proven wrong, and Microsoft has every opportunity to prove me wrong about that because they've got infinite fucking money.
Well, Microsoft, Xbox. I mean, okay, like. I also feel that Microsoft's first-party studios aren't on par with some of the better studios at Sony. They definitely don't have a studio that competes with like Naughty Dog.
Amazing.
Well, I mean, we haven't played. I mean, I haven't played the new God of War. I mean, you know, it looks cool. It looks great, and you know, but I'm just saying, like, look, I like Xbox as well. Right, Halo is the king. It's my favorite franchise. I like all the games. I know people are going to listen to this. I know Xbox fans are going to listen to this and be like, "Oh, Rand and Jez are hating," and that's not necessarily the case, right?
No,
look,
I'm a happy Xbox customer. I just don't believe their ability to deliver AAA games.
That's all. Maybe Microsoft doesn't want to do that anymore. Like, you're going to get your Halo and your Gearses and your Forzas because those sell. Although I put a question mark after Gears these days, but Halo and Forza sell. You know, Sea of Thieves is a question mark. Ooh. But like Microsoft's first party games this gen have like, and didn't mean you have this conversation recently about what games actually came from Microsoft first party. Like, if you actually go back to the beginning of this gen and what games were made by their first party and what games were deals with third party. Because when you actually like look at the games done by Microsoft's first party, you have what? You have Connect Sports Rivals from Rare. You have Sea of Thieves, right? That's the two games from Rare.
You got Loco Cycle.
Well, but yeah, Local Cycle and like, which was terminated, so they got rid of that. You know, at 343, you had them do Halo 5. You had Halo Master Chief Collection, so you had two Halo games. Of course, Forza 5, Forza 6, Forza 7, right? Gears of War 5.
I mean, Forza's dominant, you know. I mean, when I say I don't believe in Microsoft's ability to deliver AAA games, I'm not talking about Forza. But everyone knows Forza's amazing, and it's the industry leader in racing games. That's just objective truth, you know. But when it comes to those third-person open-world action games, which are the most popular genre right now, they haven't shown their ability to deliver. You know, Recall was a AA game at best, and it was a $30 game or £30 game, so $40, I guess. It wasn't full price game, so that's basically Microsoft admitting that it's not worthy of a full price title, and therefore it's not AAA. You know, Ori and the Blind Forest is an amazing game, but again, it's not first party; it's second party.
Right. Most of the game, like I just mentioned, most of the games, like Dead Rising, Capcom, Rise, Crytek. Quantum Break, Remedy, Recore, Armature Studios, Ori, Moon Studios. Like, basically, Microsoft's first party is Rare and Sea of Thieves, Turn 10 and the Forza franchise, 343 and Halo and Coalition and Gears. They don't branch out. So I'm just going off of history. I also feel that Microsoft can't deliver on the big AAA scale on the like Naughty Dog can, which is why they make these deals. Now, Playground built that second studio. They are making open world RPG. If you wanted to do that, and they have a good working relationship with Microsoft because Forza Horizon pays the bills, it's possible that Microsoft teamed up with them. It's possible that Microsoft teamed up with other studios to make these experiences that they themselves are either not capable of or not willing to make. You know, which is a shame because I would like to see a Halo RPG from 343 or Shanghai from Gears of War or something. And maybe, you know, you look at Sea of Thieves and you're like, okay, Sea of Thieves is different. Sea of Thieves is not like any of that stuff. And you know, the game comes out in a year, or not a year, but next year, and maybe that game's going to be really great. You can't really tell from the alpha and stuff. And even State of Decay is, you know what I'm saying? Like, they have a lot of deals they do with their other studios, and I'm sure people are probably like turning off the podcast like so negative, but like it's just kind of the truth here, man. Like, Microsoft, Halo, they do Halo, Gears, and Forza first party. They used to do Fable. They shut down Lionhead. And that's just kind of the truth. Unless Microsoft is secretly building a new studio somewhere to do something else, that's what the future is going to be for their first party. Now, their deals with second party and third party will be different. But yeah, I mean, Phil said, and Phil doesn't lie, okay? Like, what he says, I believe. Like, he said in that interview, look, we just signed some deals. They're going to be bearing fruit in 2 to 3 years. I wasn't comfortable showing it now, right? And he said, like, when he took over, he had a couple priorities. One was the hardware stuff, which the hardware stuff needed to be redone because the Xbox One was looked terrible. It had a lot of devish, you know, like people couldn't get the most out of it. It's, like, every game was running better on the PlayStation. So immediately you have the Xbox One X, looks better. They took a gamble on 4K Blu-ray stuff, right? And then it's like, okay, now we got the Xbox One X. We're going to get the power argument out of the way. Every game's either going to be better on ours or not. So that was his major focus. And then he said he wanted to focus on Xbox Live, the backwards compatibility thing, which turned out to be huge. And then he said, obviously, then it was like games. But sometimes I question is like, well, is that necessarily the best order to do things? Like, should it have been hardware, games, platform? Or should it have been games, hardware, platform? You know, because it kind of seems like you're going in this like, okay, you got the hardware stuff, and now you have the platform stuff and the games, and like, and this year's been bad. I'm not damage control. This year's been bad for exclusive games on Xbox. I thought the first couple years with the deals they made going into it were actually outstanding. In my opinion, better than the PlayStation. But right now, Halo Wars, Voodoo Vince,
Final Fantasy fucking 12. I want that game so bad.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, this year up to this point has been probably the worst year for Xbox One in terms of the exclusive games that they're bringing in. And the end of the year doesn't really seem to be that better. You're going to have Crackdown 3, you're going to have Forza, and you're going to have Super Lucky's Tales. Like, last year's lineup, to me, was way better than this year's upcoming lineup. So I don't know.
I couldn't care less about Super Lucky's Tale. What they need to do to make me care about Super Lucky's Tale, you give Super Lucky a fucking chainsaw and let him carve his way through the cutesy world. That's what I would care about. Yeah. Gears of Super Lucky Tale. Gears of War spin-off with a super squirrel. I would totally
see someone just called me Randall Donner. I'm sorry, man. Like, it's just the truth, dude. Like, I know if you look, I always kind of say how I feel and how I see it, and maybe I view it as in a more glass half empty type of way than a glass half full. But I'm sure there's other people out there that if you want, everything is awesome and there's no reason to worry ever, then there's other channels you can go to get that type of information.
Well, this is the thing, you know, when you love Xbox so much that, you know, you have to fucking keep it real. There's things that Xbox are doing that are objectively not that great. You know, it's like the first party thing is an issue. PlayStation have had such a killer first party this year. The Final Fantasy 12, Zodiac Age, they've had Neo, Nier Automata, fucking Horizon Zero Dawn, and all these games. And yeah, Microsoft can come back and say, well, these games aren't system sellers, or, you know, these games, they're not putting out the kinds of numbers that we care about and all that sort of stuff. And people at Microsoft have told me this. But the fact of the matter is, it's created a perception that if you want exclusive games, you have to go to PlayStation. That is the perception that it's creating amongst the core crowd. And the core crowd are fucking influential. You can't measure the influence of the core gamers, because they're the people who are saying that this platform is good, buy this platform, and this platform is bad, buy this platform. And you know, people who are casual, they will listen to the core gamer who cares about this shit way more than the casual gamer who just buys games to play like for an hour after work or an hour after school or whatever before they do their homework and that sort of thing. So these are things that can't be measured by big data, and maybe they can be measured by big data. I don't know. You know, Microsoft are fucking wizards when it comes to this shit, and I don't know. I'm not going to claim that I'm an expert at this shit, but PlayStation is creating an amazing perception that they can deliver quality AAA exclusives. And you've got Horizon Zero Dawn, and you've got God of War coming
even
up.
If they're not coming this year, even if all those great PlayStation exclusives are 2018 to 2020, like it doesn't matter. Like, look,
we know the roadmap.
And I'm taking Phil at his word. I've talked to him enough where I know he's not going to lie. Like, if he says he signed deals recently that will be 2 to 3 years away that addresses this issue, I 100% believe him. And hopefully that's what people want. Like, so I just don't expect it to come from the first party, because we know what first party does, because it's been a history with them. With Microsoft first party, you get Halo, Gears, and Forza.
Dude, that's I fucking drank 70 centiliters of fucking Jack Daniels on this podcast. I am going to be so hungover tomorrow, and it's your fault. It's your fault, right?
Well, hit us up with a couple questions in chat before we get out here. No,
I'm not even tired now. Let's podcast for another 2 hours.
Another 2 hours? I don't know about that. I am doing a guest spot on the Fame's podcast. Well, no, it's just he just wanted me to come on, and we've been talking about it for a while. So I said, yeah. So I'm just saying, like, if people want to, throw some questions out here, we'll answer them. McGrath Bagahi, sorry if I said your name wrong. Will you buy Lawbreakers and Hellblade? I'm gonna get Lawbreaker or Hellblade for sure. That seems like a cool game. I'm not sure about Lawbreakers, mainly because I don't really have anybody to play it with on the PlayStation. Let's see. Any more questions?
Miles S. Jez, favorite game ever. Favorite game ever. You know, my favorite game ever, and this is another annoying thing because it's fucking PlayStation again, is Final Fantasy VII. And I'll tell you why Final Fantasy VII. It's because it's the first game that really made me love gaming. You know, I'd always seen games as a toy, and then I played Final Fantasy VII when I was about, I don't know, maybe 11 years old or something like that. And it was, I really got sucked into the story, and I got so obsessed with that game, Final Fantasy VII. And that's what really made me fall in love with gaming. You know, it's the first game that I cried at. When Eris died, I fucking cried my eyes out. And I don't care if that's a spoiler.
Dude, spoilers, bro.
It's a 20-year-old game.
Bro, so they're remaking it, man. Come on now.
Spoilers. It's not a spoiler. It's 20 years old. But they're remaking that game, which I personally think is sacrilege. But it's just such an amazing game to me. It's so much nostalgia for me. So Final Fantasy VII is the game. Whenever people ask me what is your favorite game, the first thing that pops into my head is Final Fantasy VII every time. What is your favorite game, Rand? Before we move on,
of all time, like all time.
First thing that pops into your head, because that's what your brain thinks.
I mean, of all time, I don't know, because you go through such a growing period of like what you liked as a kid and teenager to like an adult. So it's always hard for me to pick a single game. I can tell you by like era what my favorite game was.
Go on.
Like NES era, Super Mario Brothers 3. Like one of the best games ever made, right? Yeah. Genesis era, nothing really stands out. PlayStation 1 era, by far, Final Fantasy VII. Like, I played that game 8 times. Like, that game meant so much to me back then. 360 era would be BioShock 1. The experience I had with BioShock 1 is unparalleled. And Ori would be the best game this gen. So, I mean, if I had to dig deep and be like, all right, I need to pick one of those, then the one that probably impacted me the most is probably Final Fantasy VII, to be honest with you.
Dude! We both have the same favorite game.
I know. It's pretty sweet.
Who's your favorite character in Final Fantasy VII?
You know, it'd be kind of a cop-out to say Cloud, because he's not really much of a character. Tifa, probably. Tifa or Barrett. I was
really
like, both. Yeah. Fuzzy Belvedere says,
he's got a gun.
Fuzzy Belvedere asks question, says, Microsoft needs a Souls-like game like a Biker Gang Dude or a Double Dragon Brawler. I don't know. I don't think. I mean, the Souls-like games are kind of like
they're niche, man.
Overdone now. I don't know. Like, I don't really think so.
The Souls games have like a huge base amongst the core crowd, but and they've got loads of memes and that sort of stuff. But they actually sell systems. They're fucking hard games, you know. And I think if you actually look at the stats, like if you look at the sales for the month of PlayStation when Neo was released, compare them to the year before, I don't think you'll see Neo as a system seller. I mean, that's not to shit on Neo because it looks really, really good, but it's just a fact of the matter that they are niche games for hardcore gamers. So I don't think Xbox needs an exclusive Souls type game, but if they did, it would be fucking Ninja Blade 2, man. That game was so underrated.
Yeah.
I fucking love Ninja Blade.
We got some other questions here. Let me scroll up. I had to ban somebody because he's being a douche. By what kind of logic do you think Xbox fanboys believe they're helping the Xbox brand by keep damage control?
People always damage control, and I don't know why. It's it's something to do with like human beings are tribalist by nature, and you could get into a whole philosophical debate about this, and it's not just Xbox, it's fucking partisan politics, your left and right wing and all that sort of stuff. People get so invested in where they invest their psychological choices, and because of that you get this fanboy console war shit all the time. The best thing to do if you don't believe in all this console war stuff, and it's fun to poke fun sometimes. I poke fun at PlayStation sometimes, and I poke fun at Nintendo sometimes, but it's all in good humor. That's fun as long as it's good spirited. But if you genuinely hate a plastic box, you've got fucking mental issues, and you should probably just block those people and forget they exist.
I think some people would think they're doing a good like service to Microsoft by maybe like saying always like extolling the positive virtues of the company and downplaying the negative ones, so more people can feel better about their purchases and more people buy the systems. The thing is, like, you'll never see me on my channel. This isn't an anti-Sony podcast. This is probably more pro Xbox, but we do talk about everything. I'm not going to crap on a console or a manufacturer to prop up Xbox.
Me neither.
Because there's no point in doing that. So I don't. I mean, I know why people do that. It's clicks, views, subs. There's always that market you can aim for and stuff like that. But that's not me. Like, I don't need to kick somebody down to prop myself up. Like,
this is the thing. Snake Engine says Crap Gamer has mental issues. Crap Gamer does not have mental issues. He's fucking smart. He's playing everyone.
Well, and look, and I don't want to talk about other people on my channel, but like, since people are saying Crap Gamer, look, I know Crap personally. Crap is a great guy.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. He's always treated me fairly. We're friends. But yeah, I don't want to talk about like other people and what they do with their own channel. Like, Crap runs his channel the way Crap wants to run his channel. That's just the way it is.
He's a genius. He's not mentally ill. He's a genius, and he's playing everyone for fools. It's really. Yeah, I mean, he's actually just a normal dude trolling everyone, and nobody seems to realize it. Right.
So, and let's see, any more questions? Let me look. I gotta scroll back up. What is the best place to play third-party multiplayer? It's PS4 with exclusive bonus missions or 4K Scorpio. Well, I mean, if those bonus missions matter to you, then I guess PlayStation. To me, it's always like where your friends are playing, because most of the bonus missions are terrible anyways. And like I said, if you care about resolution or the best version of the game, then you would care about getting it on Scorpios. I mean, that's kind of just up to your preference, really. Let's see what else here. How is the Xbox One as future-proof when there's little games showing its potential? There's little games showing its potential right now. I mean, here's the thing, like, games, if you remember, Call of Duty ran at 720p when the Xbox One first came out, but then by years later it was running at 900. Like, things the developmental kits get better over time. They open up more RAM for developers to use. The SDKs get better and more streamlined, and the developers get more comfortable with the hardware that they're making it for. So over the course of time, more people will be more accustomed with the Xbox One X and what it can achieve. So you can bet your bottom dollar that what they can achieve right now will be less than what they can achieve in 2 to 3 years. And the same would go for the Pro, because they get more custom with working and stuff like that. And most of the games now were kind of made with the Xbox One in mind, even some of the, like Crackdown and stuff like that. It'd be interesting to see like when a game is truly kind of made with Xbox Scorpio in mind first, and then kind of just made to work on Xbox One, how they can truly maybe push that. But I think it might be a few years, or a couple years at least, before you actually see that type of stuff. Rand, are you concerned about the heat the Xbox One will generate? The thought crossed my mind about having that liquid cooling thing in there with the water, because I was like, I went through 5 Xbox 360s or whatever because of Red Ring of Death, and the thoughts crossed my mind about how small it is and how much more powerful it is, and will that generate a lot more heat and things like that?
No. This is the thing, you see. This is one of the things I tested at E3, because there were Xbox One X prototypes at E3 running games, and it wasn't just fake. Because sometimes this is what they do at E3. They put a console on the table, but really there's a PC running underneath. But I checked it, the consoles were vibrating because the hard drives were spinning and that sort of thing. They generated no fucking heat, and they were silent. It's magic, man. And this is the Surface team. The Surface team have just released a laptop that is like half a centimeter thin, or something like a centimeter thin, or something like that, less than a centimeter thin, without a fan. Right, it's a Core i5 processor, and it has no fan. These guys know their shit when it comes to heat generation. So, I have every faith in the Xbox One X when it comes to heat generation. I would not worry about that at all, guys. And if it does overheat, then you can remember this podcast and come blame me later.
I think I finally found Super Jamaican's question. Would you guys be okay if Microsoft worked with Sega to remake old Sega franchises like Street of Rage or Alien Storm or Shinobi?
Sega!
Games like that would be tremendously help Xbox.
I love Streets of Rage.
I could be totally down for a Streets of Rage remake. Totally. I love Streets of Rage.
Streets of Rage is great. Who's your favorite character in Streets of Rage?
The small dude on like the roller skates, or maybe the kangaroo. I don't know. Dude, I played one. Was there a kangaroo in 3 maybe? I forget.
I don't know. I didn't play 3. I played
them all, but dude, the music in that, oh my god, dude, the music. I love Streets of Rage. I would love for them to do Streets of Rage remake. I didn't play Alien Storm. I had played Shinobi. It's a cool game.
It's all about Axel, man. It's all about Axel.
More games from Sega. Sega has a lot of solid IPs that they're working on.
Gunstar Heroes. Oh my god. Did you ever play Gunstar Heroes?
I played Gunstar Heroes. Yes, I did.
Oh my god,
cool.
That's one of my favorite games. That's my favorite game on Genesis.
And this Echo says, I dodged this question, and he wants to know, really, for a hardcore gamer, what is more important, graphics or extra gaming content? Okay, I'll say graphics, since the extra gaming content is usually worthless. So if you're talking, yeah,
I disagree.
Are we talking about like the pre-order bonuses that you get, or the stuff that you get from?
I thought he was talking about I thought he was talking about exclusives.
No, I'm pretty sure he's talking about like, hey, you can get Destiny on PlayStation. It comes with a gun and a strike.
Oh, fuck that! Exclusive DLC. Fuck that. I thought he was talking about.
I'm pretty sure that's what he's talking about. Pretty sure that's what he means. Silver Slayer says, "What do you think Microsoft can do to break into the market in Asian countries? And do you think Korean studios would be a good place for new first-party studios?"
More hentai games.
More hentai games. I don't know what they need to do to get into the Korean or the Asian Korean. I mean, Japan's rejected them. I honestly don't know. I don't know.
Didn't Phil just say that he would never give up on Japan or something?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, but I mean, he's his interview with the Japanese magazine. What do you expect him to say? Like, I gave up
Yeah,
on
but
Japan.
why
Like,
would he do an interview with a Japanese magazine if he wasn't planning on supporting Japan?
it doesn't matter because Japan doesn't support Xbox. So
But there's got to be something that can do to support
they
to
tried it
back
last
Japan.
year. They tried it last gen. They made a bunch of games for that system, and it didn't work out. It just didn't work out. They didn't care about Blue Dragon or Lost Odyssey, any of that stuff. And
What they need to do is they need to make it even more open, and that's part of what they're doing this summer with the what's it called now? The Xbox Creators Program, where you can just put a game on Xbox One without any sort of achievements or any sort of what do you call it? Without any real Xbox integration. Do you know this, Rand? The Xbox Creators Program.
it's like those indie games, but not ID to Xbox. That thing.
Yeah, it's like literally anyone in the world now can take a UWP game and put it on Xbox One without any sort of. I mean, I think it has to pass some basic quality checks, but it's not like ID Xbox where a game on ID Xbox has to actually be relatively decent, with the exception of Soda Drinker Pro, for some reason. But basically now, in theory, the Xbox One could get flooded with Japanese visual novels that don't have to pass Xbox certification. That's as strict as ID Xbox. So in theory, this summer there could be a lot more sort of indie content on Xbox One, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. I think it's a good move though, especially for making UWP a thing, which we all know is never going to be a thing.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I think we hit the 2-hour mark. It's late for Jazz. It's
I'm not even tired.
for me. I know, but
I'm numb.
I have to go and do some things. I got to complete Uncharted 3 so I can put out the review tomorrow.
My girlfriend's got to go to sleep because she's got work tomorrow, so I do have to go as well. But I'm just love games.
So Jazz, I thought it was a good show. I thought it was I thought it was good. I thought we had I loved you digging into my the Barbie stuff, which I appreciate. Thank you so much for letting me ramble on about Barbie and things like that.
I want to know even more next week, man. We've got to break into all the Barbie games.
We'll talk about that stuff. Now, let the people know, Windows Central, you'll be breaking a story tomorrow about a canceled game, right?
It's a cancelled Windows Phone game, so no one's going to care. But it's a spin-off of a major Xbox One game, a major Xbox One exclusive, so maybe some people will be interested.
That's right.
Especially if you're into boxing games.
So we had like 250 people. We have 200 right now. 2 hours hanging out with me and Jazz. We really appreciate it. If you haven't hit that like button, if you enjoyed the podcast, subscribe if you have not already, or if you're new, check out all the videos on the channel. You know, I'd be posting daily content, sometimes 2 times, sometimes 3 times a day. Thank you guys so much for watching. We are going to be putting this up on, SoundCloud and those places pretty soon. So hold on to your butts for that. And we are out of here. Later.
Later, guys.